Hi, I'm Kevin Stokes with Blue Horizon Notes. This is part 3 of our Profit with Real Estate Note series. We're going to be discussing what it means to buy a partial note. It's very high level. It's not the fine details of the transaction, but it will give you a concept of what you might expect with a note purchase or a partial note purchase. It's not specific to any asset that I have available at the moment. It's something that I encourage you to share with people that you think might find it valuable. Previous installment, I sort of talked through a little bit about an amortization schedules. Just a quick recap: the vertical scale is the unpaid balance. The horizontal scale is the number of payments from the first payment out to 360 for a 30-year payment. The blue arc, represents the unpaid balance dropping over time as the borrower pays back the principal and interest payments each month. Now, partial just means that you're buying some subset of the unpaid balance. This is a demonstration of one in particular note. It's not actual, it's just conceptual. I would say out of the 360 payments, I would sell just less than half for about 80,000. And so for those 160 payments, the owner of the partial would pay or would be buying this 80,000, or the green section. They'd be buying the 80,000 of the unpaid balance, and the reserve of the original unpaid balance would belong to me as the original note owner for the full amount. So for the next 160 payments, whatever this monthly payment is, that'll go to the person that owns the green section. And then once payment 161 comes around, then the payments would start going back to the original note owner that owns the blue section. And then there's other subsets of it. There's 40,000 would be another subset, and that might be the next 56 payments for someone who would buy a smaller investment. And again, same concept applies at the 57th payment. The green wouldn't be there, but the remaining 60,000 at the origination would belong to the original note owner. And then this green dotted line here just represents if there was a payoff somewhere out here at, say, like 36 months, what would happen is that the owner of the 40,000 partial, they would get whatever this payoff amount is. It's probably going to be 28,000, somewhere in that range, right? At least in this example. And so that 28,000 would go to pay off this partial owner, and the remaining balance between that 28,000 and whatever this number is, most likely it's going to be 90,000 or thereabouts. That remaining 70,000 would go to the original note owner that owns the 70,000. So, in that, in a nutshell, is what it would look like. So, this is a previous example of a note that I have. I own it completely. Let's say that I wanted to sell a partial on this particular note, right? Well, if I sold the entire note, I'd probably sell it for somewhere around 35,000 on a discount. That'd provide a yield to someone that would own it for 11%. I'm not saying I'm offering it that. I'm just saying as an example, that's what it would be, or what it could be for a whole note. Now, if I wanted to sell a subset of that note, say I wanted to sell the next 70 payments, I'd charge probably 20,000 to the um, investor that wants to buy the partial, and for the next 70 months, they'd collect 371 a month, and that produces a yield a little bit lower in the face rate, just because their risk is lower, and I'll explain how I calculate or discover or how I deal with risk mitigation with real estate notes in another segment. But just understand that because you're not the borrower, or the partial owner isn't have this section at risk, then their yield is going to obviously be a little bit lower because it's a more stable position. Of course, I wouldn't do this on this particular loan because it's just got such a high investment to uh, investment to value ratio, where the property is worth over 110,000, and the current unpaid balance is only 38. I wouldn't do these smaller amounts, but this is just an example of what that would look like. So say I wanted an investor that only had 10,000, I would sell maybe the next 30 payments to them, and that means they would collect 30 payments, a total of 11,000, and that's a little over 8.5%. and it could go even as small as 5,000, and they would make that back in like 14 months, right? So this, again, these are just an example. I hope that kind of demonstrates to you what a partial investment or a partial note would look like. If you've got any questions or you want me to have cover other topics, you can contact me at any of the opportunities at the screen. And if you'd like to fill out our survey so we get to know you better, and maybe we perhaps can get into business together, then fill out the survey that I have at the link on the screen. Thank you.